Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Motivational Moments, Speaking Up, Part 3. As you know, the month of July, we've been focusing on women that speak up for themselves and in turn speak up for all of us. And I think it's very important as women that we become less afraid of using our voice and not to take a back seat in certain situations that make us feel less powerful, less strong, and being the women with guts that we are. You know, we've been taught from a very early age to be polite, not to speak up, don't make any waves, just be nice, be a good girl, you don't want to cause any problems. Have you heard any of those things when you were growing up? I certainly did. And even in business, we are encouraged to maybe play a part in meetings and to be supportive. But I think when it comes to literally speaking up and speaking out, it's difficult for us because we interpret that as not being nice or being too forceful, or other things that can tend to hold us back from being our true selves and making a difference in this world. So when I did some research on the subject, I found a great article in a magazine called Diversity Today. And I'm just going to pick some parts out of this and read them to you because I think it's really impactful. This author has captured, I think, the essence of what holds us back from speaking up, and she's given us some different word choices to use when we do speak up. So I'm going to take some highlights of this and share it with you right now. So this is an article in the March 27th issue of Diversity Women, and it's called Speak Up and Don't Apologize. Isn't that just what we were talking about? And she initially talks about a woman who was the CEO of a skincare company. It's Strivectin. I'm sure many of you have heard of that company. And she's an Asian woman. Her name is Zhu Wang. And she had been taught at a very early age, because of her culture being Asian, that it wasn't nice to speak up and to give your opinion. So she always had to get over that when she was in business, especially when she was the CEO of this important big skincare company. But she has learned to speak up for herself and to make a difference in the skincare industry. But it wasn't easy, and I know it isn't easy for many of us. So she also talks about in this article that the way we're built, in most cases, we're less assertive than men in the workplace. And we find ourselves, apologizing when we do speak up. And when we get defensive, like we're doing something wrong if we do speak up. And then this makes us look like we don't have enough confidence in ourselves. And that's not the case. It's just that how we're trained and how we were brought up, that we're just trying to be nice. We want to build consensus with people. We don't want to come off too bossy or too strong or sometimes too assertive or even appear to be rude. But I think what's cool about this article is that there's some word choices that have come up that I think might be helpful to all of us. And one of them is, and I do this all the time, I don't know about you, but when I'm in a conversation or a group setting, when I'm expressing myself, I will say something like, well, I think we should consider this, or I think that. I start the sentence with I think. And in this article, the author talks about it could come across like we're just trying to be too polite, and polite doesn't always cut it in the business world. So she talks about using the word from my experience. I love that. She says, from my experience, this is what I've seen. Instead of I think this, we sound less confident doing it that way. So I'm going to start using it. It's called, from my experience, This is what I've seen. So I love that word choice. And Vicki Priner, she's a former CEO of an insurance company called SBLI, who is now a leadership development consultant in New York. She says, it is important for women to be assertive in the workplace. When the talent and ability of everyone on a team are fully utilized, we have better information and perform better. I think that is totally true. So here are some steps on how to become more assertive in the workplace or in our own personal lives. Number one, first of all, we have to believe in our own self-worth. We have to do what we take to get to that point, whether we're doing self-help exercises, meditation, reading books, hiring a coach, becoming a mentor, getting a mentor. We have to find those tools and techniques that could help us become more confident and to have a real, true self-worth barometer that is higher than we might have currently. So that's one thing that we could be working on. And also give yourself a pep talk. Remember, we always talk about affirmations and do them in the present tense, not the past, not the future, because the subconscious mind only responds to what you say to it in the present tense and in a positive way. So you can say, I am worthy. I have self-worth. I am confident. So think about word choices that you may use in order to build up your self-worth. Number two, focus on being respected and not being liked. Oh my gosh, this is my bailiwick here. I'm always afraid I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, and I'm afraid of not being liked. So I may hold myself back from making an opinion that might be taken the wrong way or come across that I'm not happy with the situation. But when it's all said and done, we do need to speak up. We do need to express ourselves, because when we do, more people will respect us for our speaking up and our opinions. So I think the message here is not focusing on being liked as much as focusing on being respected. I think that was so awesome. And men are inclined to jump in and give their opinions more so than women. And they don't normally ask for permission. How many meetings have we been in that we say, oh, excuse me, could I bring this up? Or could I, no. We're always asking permission to use our voice. Come on, guys, girls. That's not how we need to be. Not in this workplace. So anyway, we just need to think about what we're saying, how we're saying it, and not be afraid of speaking up. And even when we're going into a meeting that we know that we're going to have to speak up, and there's more people there that we know that are going to go ahead and speak up, and we need to have a role in that meeting. So what they suggest in this article, which I think is really cool, you may want to talk to one of the meeting attendees before the meeting so that that person hears your view more fully and that you can obtain ground level support. Because if you've been shut down in the past, you know that feeling of not feeling good after you're bringing something up, but you've been dismissed. So you don't want to be dismissed. So maybe if you can gain some support from certain people prior to a meeting of everybody involved, it might help. And it might help getting support behind the scenes before you even attend that meeting. And number 4 is learn the language of assertiveness. So it's very obvious that men and women do communicate differently. Men tend to be more direct, and women tend to soften statements. We do that, don't we? So if someone is dismissing you and what you're saying, and we tend to be like trying to be polite, if someone is doing that to us, one of the recommendations is that you say, I hear your point, but I want to add something to that so that we can acknowledge what they say, but then also say, you know what, I'm not finished here. I have something else to say, and you know what, it's important. So I think that is just so great. The other thing that men do that I think that's different than women is that they're usually in a meeting, they're trying to give a report or trying to share, not share information, but give information. And this is what they think, and this is why they think it, and these are the stats to prove it. And when women are in a meeting, they usually share information. They want to build consensus. They are, trying to do kumbaya. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that the more that we can share, that's more like definitive, like a report or statistics, or be more strong in our convictions, it will come across more powerful without being offensive. So the other thing is, and I'm going to kind of wrap this up because I know we're going over, but in the area of listening, men listen to solve problems. Women listen to gain understanding. And there's no right or wrong with it, but in making decisions, men seem to make unilateral decisions and are more comfortable giving and taking orders, in particular to higher level men in the company or in a meeting. So we just have to be more assertive. We need to listen. We need to gather information. And you know what? Make more decisions and not be afraid of the outcome. So those are my tips today. And I give all the credit to Diversity Women and speaking up, that issue that they gave in, I think it was March 27th. Speak up and don't apologize. I think that the author has captured a lot of things that us women deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I think that there are some tips and techniques that we can all use to be better at speaking up. So thank you for tuning in. And I really love this series about speaking up. And we will do our last one next Wednesday at the same time. And I appreciate your support and confidence in me as your leader and enjoying motivational moments together. So have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.